look like you got some scleral edema going on.
Who's the what?
Look that way again. Yeah, a little scleral edema. It's all right.
I hate when that happens. What is that?
The white part of your eye looks like a little up over your iris from the side.
And what's that from?
It might just be that you have lighter eyes and it just shows. Nice shirt. Wow,
like that?
That's fancy. Where'd you get that at?
From a friend.
You look like a reptile.
A reptilian?
Mm-hmm. I like it though. Nice. Intimidating.
Intimidating?
Yeah. All in black.
Does my hair look funny?
Come over here. You got there. You had a little whoop-de-doo sticking out there.
Is it fine now?
It looks good.
Okay.
I guess you're all right. Makeup's on. Looks good.
Jeez. Rough. Hey everybody, this is Jared Scalata, and this is episode number 30, Big 3-0, which is one episode younger than me.
I was waiting for that.
And today, I get to get back into the normal seat, the boss's seat.
Yeah.
And Trevis is going to talk to us about pre- and post-workout nutrition.
Yeah, because of what happened Saturday.
Yeah, so like we talked about last time, we had an awesome workshop on Saturday, and thanks for everybody who showed up. It was great. Thanks for everyone who participated as well, or was forced to participate. Sorry to some of you who feel like you've been pointed out and laughed at. Sincerely, I'm sorry. Where was I going with that?
We lost the audio.
We lost the audio. We videotaped it, but we lost the audio. So we're covering that again. We're covering the nutrition portion of the talk again. All right. It was pretty long. We got an hour in last time, so we're not going to get an hour.
This is it in a nutshell.
Yeah, we're going to kind of compress everything, but it'll still be full of good information. So you guys hang tight. Trevi.
Yes. Ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So we're going to talk about pre and post workout nutrition for the average client or person, based on what their needs might be. So really, I want to just say that bottom line for anybody, an average person, a competitive athlete, any of those, you need to focus. The first thing you need to worry about is the quality and quantity of your food on a daily basis. You have to make sure that you've got a solid nutritional foundation in place before you can even worry about what I should eat prior to working out, what I should eat after I work out. Because if you don't have a solid foundation, you set yourself up for, deficiencies, and you're not going to get the results in your performance or your body composition that you're looking for. So I want to just kind of address very quickly how to do that, and maybe some portion sizes to remind you of what you should be eating on a daily basis. You need to get rid of processed food. You want whole foods that are minimally processed. Portion sizes are different between men and women, so I'm going to cover the men portions, and then women, you will get half of what a man gets, unfortunately. And they're bigger and all that, so it's all right. So for protein, for a man, it's palm width and thickness. For carbs for a man, it's what he can hold into cupped hands. Vegetables are hand size, and then fats are 2 thumbs. So women, you would just get half of all of that. So when you're putting your meals together, you want to focus first and foremost on protein, because of what we've covered about the benefits of protein in your body. And then you want to put in your vegetables, because everybody needs to eat more vegetables. You want to add in healthy fats. And then lastly, look at your carbohydrates. Now, that is a little different for endurance athletes, and we'll cover that a little bit later. But this is just a normal meal, everyday food that you need to be eating. So let's talk about the different effects that the macronutrients have in pre and post workout recovery. So proteins are necessary for your recovery when you train heavy or play a competitive sport. You tear down your muscles, and you need good lean protein to go back in and repair the muscles and to help your recovery. I noticed that, and I always recommend when people, I don't know if you feel this way, but they complain about post-workout soreness.
Yep.
And I think that I want to make sure that I let them know, I think you need to be spot on with your protein intake after working out to help.
Right, so your soreness can be worse if you don't get adequate protein intake after your workout. And it doesn't have to be, and maybe you're going to cover this, but it doesn't have to be immediately after, but just after your workout in general.
Right.
So the reason that you eat protein after your workout is the amino acids. The amino acids repair your muscles.
Right.
Right? So without that amino acid repair, your soreness is going to be worse.
Right.
Does that make sense? And that's why, like, you take branched chain amino acids to enhance that repair. So you're not necessarily worried about the soreness. You're just worried about getting repaired better and quicker. And
adapting, it's something about adaptation of your muscles to the workout. And that's what I was...
So you can get the most benefit out of it. So that whenever you take in those amino acids, your body assimilates them, then you can get a better adaptation response from the training, from the strength training or hypertrophy training or whatever it is you're trying to accomplish.
Right. So like the next time you will notice that your strength improves because your muscles...
So it's not going to be the next time. If you don't have enough quality protein intake, then you're going to have... The next time you train, you may not be quite as strong. You're going to be more sore. You may not be quite as strong next time. However, if you have branched chain amino acids or you are keeping your quality intake up after your workout, then it's not necessarily going to be like, oh, next time you're going to be a lot stronger. However, you'll be able to perform at your close to your best as long as you have other things lined up. But you'd be able to perform closer to your best because of not being sore and because of the recovery that you had from the previous workout from the high quality.
And then over time, I think that...
And you're talking about building the things that, whatever it is you're trying to build. So hypertrophy, strength, power, speed, whatever it is.
Right. So protein is, I think, very important because of all that Jerry said. So carbohydrates fuel your workouts, especially endurance athletes. That they use a lot of carbohydrates to fuel those long distance runs. What you're achieving when you intake carbohydrates post workout is you're restoring your glycogen stores that hopefully you've worked out hard enough, you've depleted those, and you need to build those back in for your next workout session. I read about combining a protein and a carbohydrate after training increases your protein synthesis or the creation of new muscles. Do you agree with that?
And that goes back to not back to, because we have talked about it, or I guess we did with the carbohydrate talk. We may have talked about it a little bit, but insulin response after your workout.
Right. Your muscles are most sensitive to insulin at that point.
Right. So whenever you have something that is high glycemic, which you're always told not to have, and I'm not telling you to go eat sugar and drink a pop after your workout.
Know where you're
I'm not telling you that.
I know where you're going with this. Okay.
However, having that carbohydrate, again, getting the insulin response, and then your body your muscles being able to synthesize the protein better and quicker, and repair better quicker, so on and so forth, because of the insulin response that your body's getting from the carbohydrate.
Right. So it's not necessary to go out and load up on a bunch of bad carbs. After you train, it doesn't, just working out doesn't give you that right or that need to go out and eat donuts or bad carbohydrates, because the studies show that most of protein synthesis is best enhanced whenever your glucose is just about 3 times above a fasting level. So just if you went and you just ate a normal, nice
carbohydrate meal.
Right. You're going to get the same benefit.
You're going to get it.
And you're not going to get all the spillage over of those bad carbohydrates into feeling bad the next day, and it's just
probably
not necessary.
Putting on fat. Yeah.
It's not necessary to do that to get that protein synthesis going. So that's the one thing to remember about carbohydrates. And then fats basically
you don't usually hear a lot about fats post workout or pre-workout or just around.
They just say that basically they can just keep you like on an even keel because they're slower burning, and it gives you, once your glucose is depleted, then you've got that fat in the background that
to be able to
just keep you from crashing. And so you really don't have to worry about. And then the whole talk about don't eat fats after you work out is irrelevant at this point. It doesn't. Yes, fats slow down digestion, but it doesn't really impact your ability to utilize your glucose and all of that. So that's the macro effects of each of those. So the next thing I think that really is key that people need to focus on is hydration. That's really, really important, because even losing 1 to 2% of your body weight, water can impact performance, and the fact that you might be brain fogged in, or you just feel bad. So it's really important to hydrate yourself. The minimum amount of hydration just for sitting around, living every day is half of your body weight in ounces. Bottom line is what you should take in. Now remember, if you're eating whole foods and a nice balanced diet, you're going to get some water out of your vegetables and the food that you're taking in. So just keep that in mind. But just at a bare minimum, you need to drink that much water every day. So water consumption for pre and post workout has to do with the climate that you're working in. That's a big thing that you need to consider. So if you're out in the sun doing long runs or playing baseball, or what are you doing? You need to make sure that you're hydrating yourself. There's some benefit in prehydration. If it's the dead of summer and you've got to go play soccer out in the heat, that you want to kind of load up on water prior to your game. So you need to really base it on your intensity of exercise. Endurance athletes need to be diligent about their hydration. We talked about this whenever they're out running in the heat. There's some people that are known to lose a lot of sodium from sweating. So people like that can suffer hyponatremia, which the signs of that is nausea, swollen hands and feet, poor performance. That's where your sodium level has fallen too low, and it'll impact how you're feeling. So they say that it's very common in females, and it's common in people who are undertrained for what they're trying to do. So if you're going to get up and they call them salty sweaters. If you're going to get up and you decide, I'm going to run 5 miles today and it's 90 degrees outside, and you haven't trained and prepared for something like that, then you could suffer from this. So you need to not just hydrate with water, they say. This is where you would look to do like a little sports drink, or just throw some salt in water so that you get some of that replacement factor. I'm going to say something about kids playing double headers, or maybe playing a soccer game in the heat in the morning and then having to play one later in the afternoon, and there's a gap of time in between there. That might be somewhere where it would be beneficial to replenish so that you can get
electrolytes
your glycogen stores back in place and ready for your next competition. What you would want to do too, if there's 8 hours in between those, is sit down and eat a whole food, a whole meal in between there to help with that also. Don't try to go without it. People always ask, I don't know, how do you feel about when people ask you, should I train on an empty stomach?
I always say it depends on the person, number one, and then the time of day, number two. So if you're training at 6 in the morning, there's a good chance that you can definitely go on an empty stomach, because you're running off of the food that you had the night before, as long as you had adequate carbohydrate intake the night before.
Right, if you have a solid foundation. They say your glycogen stores will last 2 hours, basically.
Yeah. And you're going to burn some of that during the night. However, in the morning, your body is most prone to burning fat. I mean, your body is like primed to burn fat in the morning because you haven't taken in any carbohydrates. And whenever you do that, your body releases insulin, which smack kills all the hormones that help you burn fat. So in the morning, that's when it's up there. So eating, if you're training at 5 or 6 in the morning, then it's not necessary to have food beforehand. And again, it all goes back to what did you eat the night before. Now, if you didn't eat the night before either, then you might be in trouble.
Right.
Later in the day, it's another story. It really just depends. You know, obviously you're going to eat something during the day if you're training at 5 o'clock at night, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, or 6 o'clock at night. So you're going to eat something during the day. But like, you know, some people, if it's later in the day, it's probably better that you have something, because odds are you're going to be drained. Like, even if you just sit there all day, you're going to be like, you're just going to be drained. So
they talk about a 2 to 3 hour window for pre and post training. So, like, for example, during the week, I train at 6:30 in the evening. So my last meal before I train of whole food would be roughly around 3 o'clock. So I am outside of the 2 to 3 hour window. Plus, I'm going to be training for an hour through when I would be eating. So basically what I do is I try to eat something maybe an hour and a half before. I can just have something small, like a little protein, and I'll eat a little fat. I usually don't eat carbohydrates before I train. I save those for afterwards. But if you're close to your workout, like sometimes you can't, you're getting within 30 minutes or 45 minutes of training, and you're outside of your 2 to 3 hour window of whole food, then liquid nutrition is better because it's more easily digested and tolerated. So that's when I'll just do a quick protein shake. Prior to working out. So, but back to what we were talking about before, it's all dependent on your goals, and I think it's individual for some people. Some people prefer to work out on an empty stomach, and they do quite fine. Then we've seen people come up here on an empty stomach and crash. The one thing I want to point out, I think that may have bearing on that, is the hydration status of the person. They get up, jump out of bed, they've been without food and water for up to 12 hours or longer probably since they had anything the night before, and then they're going to come up here and they're going to try to,
and they probably drank a cup of coffee.
That would be my first thought, right?
Yeah, good choice. Good chance they drank a cup of coffee.
They drank coffee,
but didn't drink any water.
No water. So I think that also is key. If you are a person who doesn't like to work out and first thing in the morning with food in your stomach, at least drink water before you come up and try to train.
Right. So it's not just hydrating, and I think this is one of the things that people have a hard time understanding, is it's not only hydrating during your workout, but like if you go into your workout dehydrated, then you're just running behind
the constantly. Whole time. So like athletes, they say that they should drink about 500 cc's of water about 30 minutes before, and then they need to take in so much while they're training. But I think for just an average person, just make sure that you're not going into your training dehydrated, in a dehydrated state, because I think that's more important than food first thing in the morning. So let's talk about some goals. So if you're an endurance athlete, your food intake really is based on your volume of training. You don't train hard year round, but during those periods where you are training heavy, you're going to need more calories. And a lot of those calories need to come from quality carbohydrates, and you need to kind of experiment around with what works for you. So like some people, if you're going to run for less than 90 minutes, first thing in the morning, basically you really don't need anything, they say, or just maybe a small snack, but just make sure you have water on board. But if you're going to do some of those longer runs, that's where you need to look at combining a little bit of protein and carbohydrates together to fuel those longer runs. But once again, pay attention to the quality of the carbohydrates that you're using.
Hi, Victoria.
Hi. Oh my gosh, this is my dream come true.
What?
I was thinking on the way here, I just need to meet with all three of these people. I think you guys need to come over and sit right over there on the edge of the green and laugh.
Yeah, as soon as we're finished videotaping, we will.
Are you right now?
Yep, right now. You're going to be on videotape.
Cut that out. This is not...
That's one way to...
She said...
Oh, that's too funny. Okay, so anyway, back to what we were talking about. So pay attention to your carbohydrates that you're using for your endurance training, and make sure that you have enough on board, and if you're doing those longer runs, that they're working for you. So fat loss, this is what I know
They sound
more
like some
about.
giggling cheerleaders back there.
Yeah, they do. This is what I know more about is fat loss, being as this is kind of where I came from. And once again, you need to pay attention to your quality of starchy carbohydrates. So if you're trying to lose weight based on, working out and all that, you need to look at your vegetable to carbohydrate ratio. So you should have 5 times more vegetables than you have carbohydrates. Sorry. I know that makes some people sad.
That's
but
interesting.
that is the truth. That's the ratio that you should look at. So personally, also, I think it's important to pay attention to what you're doing on non-training days as opposed to your training days. So basically, in a nutshell, if you're trying to lose weight and you're working out, 3 or 4 days a week, then you want to, on the days that you are not training, you're not doing, and when I say training, I'm not talking about
Going for
a walk.
Going for a walk,
You want to do where
training.
we talked about breathing
Right.
heavy and sweating.
Right.
So that's the kind of training I'm talking about. Those are the days you want to save your starchy carbohydrates for. So I always say earn your sweet potatoes, because that's what I like to use, and it keeps me not that I need motivation to work out, but I know that on my training days, I'm going to eat my sweet potato with my dinner at night. Once again, you want to put your carbohydrates out later in the day. That's when you're most sensitive and your body can use them for what they're meant for and not be stored as fat. So that's about fat loss. You have anything you want to add there?
No, that's good.
So basically, on my non-training days, I stick with protein, vegetables, and healthy fats. On the days I train, I do protein and healthy fats and vegetables up to dinner. And at dinner, after I've trained, I will eat a starchy carbohydrate. I do need to let you know that your fats and carbs need to work inversely. So in any meal that you're eating a starchy carbohydrate, you don't need to add a fat. Okay, so I won't. That is a meal that I.
If you're eating a high carb meal, eat low fats. If you're eating a high fat meal, eat low carbs.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's very good. So timing. We talked about the 2 to 3 hour window before, and then afterwards, there's no real research that supports that you've got to supplement with a protein shake after you work out. It's all goal-based, so for an average person, if you're going to work out and go home and eat a nice dinner within 2 to 3 hours of your workout, you don't need to do anything more than that.
Yeah.
So protein shakes, in my eyes, for an average person, is a convenience factor. So I will take one with me if I'm not going to make it home to eat within 3 hours of training, so I can get that in quickly afterwards. If you're an athlete, an endurance person who's run a lot, then that might be different for you. You may want to take something like that to get it on board for recovery right away.
And depending on what level of athlete you are, you need more calories than the average person.
Right.
Depending, the average person can train really hard as well. Don't get me wrong, but if you're an athlete and that's your either job or you're doing it for competition, then you should be training harder than the average person.
I would hope so.
And therefore, your calories should be higher, and therefore you should eat closer to the end to when your workout is over, so that you can get more food in later.
Yeah, because that's what they battle, is getting in the calories that they need to get in a day.
Yep.
They say most people, I think I read, most people are satisfied with about 4 pounds of food.
Yeah.
Athletes need so much more than that.
Yeah.
That it's hard for them to sit down and eat all the food that they should eat.
Yeah.
I always think about Michael Phelps. What's his name?
Michael Phelps,
Yeah, man, when they talked about what that
10,000 calories a day or something ridiculous.
Think about getting all of, when would you have time?
That's a lot of calories.
That's a lot of calories, but that's what he
And
needed.
I imagine a lot of it was not the healthiest food. Not that he was eating ice cream and stuff, but I imagine, I mean, with 10,000 calories, some of it has to be stuff that, it's not chicken and broccoli. No. 10,000 calories of chicken would be tough to eat.
That would be tough to eat. So, really, it all just comes down to, what your goals are, the type of, if you're a competitive athlete, but I think the vast majority of people are just average people who just want to train and feel good. So, in conclusion to all this, simple nutrition with sustainable habits improve your training and your lean muscle mass and all of that. So if you've got a solid foundation, then I think, you're pretty good. You need to focus on that first and then worry about what you're going to do.
Yeah, worry about the small things after. All right. Good stuff. I like it. You packed it all in.
I tried. It was pretty
That was good. If you guys have any questions for us, you can get Thrive Nutrition and Thrive Fitness on Facebook and on Instagram. You can also send your questions for our Q&A sessions to either Treves, Treves, at thriveforstrength.com or on Twitter at the Thrive Pack for any questions that you like answered during our Q&A sessions, which we're trying to do once a week now. So we had a good one yesterday. It was pretty long. It got a little interrupted from a camera malfunction, but we got it figured out. And we've had a lot of camera and mind malfunctions this week.
Yeah, so, and anything you guys would like to have covered nutrition-wise on these types of segments, please send those in to me or to where he said to send them, and we'll cover them.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day.